this week, there are 2 games that feature teams 500 or better. Bills-Vikings is one. Chargers-Niners is the other one. That's it.
Is that the type of content going on Twitter.com right
That's
now?
what you're missing right now, John. That is what you're missing. Yes. So I can bring you the good stuff or that dry piece of research.
So it's safe to say this is, one of the better games of the week?
Safe to say, yeah. It's Sunday Night Football. It's Sunday Night Football, one of the better games of the week, no doubt. And we'll see if, what the Josh Allen situation is. But it's a big game for both teams. I mean, more so than that they're both 500 or better. It's just the Niners are 500. It's not like they're above 500. And the Chargers are 5-3 in a really kind of crowded AFC right now. Like at the top of the AFC, the Bills have looked great. The Chiefs have looked great. They're both 6-2. I mean, Baltimore 6-3. So AFC race is legit.
Well, and just a ton of teams, right, for the wild card. I mean, the Jets, the Pats have the Jets and the Pats have bye weeks this week. I mean, they're both 6-3 and 5-4. Here's the thing for the Niners: when they play on Sunday night, they will have a lot of clarity in their division, right? Arizona and the Rams, one of them is going to feel dead. I mean, I would say Cardinals feel dead right now, but like they could feel really, really dead at 3-7.
Yeah, that's dead. 3-7's dead
because you could get the
they
Cardinals
get worse
at a
this
point.
time of year too.
Yeah, that they're so gutless by the time you play them that you're in pretty good shape. But like you get to 4-6, all of a sudden you go, we just take 2 out of 3. We're just 1 game under. We're competing. The NFC shitty. And Seattle and somehow Tom Brady are playing a game in Germany at 7 a.m. on, I guess 7:30 in the morning my time. 6:30. I don't like this non-spring forward. I like getting that extra hour of sleep. But like that, if Seattle wins that game, if the 49ers lose, you are 2 games back in the division. Even though you beat them, you're 2 games back in the loss column, right? They're 6-3 now. They would be 7-3, and you would be 4-5 like that.
Yeah.
Would that be a little bit of a problem? I mean,
it would be in part because like Atlanta, we don't really think about Atlanta. We don't talk about Atlanta. We just see Atlanta a lot somehow. But Atlanta right now is on the Niners' heels. Atlanta plays Thursday. Like if you're the Niners, you want the Panthers to win on Thursday. You don't want Atlanta sitting there at 5-5 as you go into this game at 4-4. Because if you're
you know where that game is?
Which Atlanta, Carolina, I won't say it's in Carolina. It's in Carolina. So you go into the weekend.
Al Michael's regretting this move, or was like, whatever. I just signed up. That's a terrible fucking
what's
game.
he making? Like that's what I would say to Al. It's like, well, I mean, 13 mil. Well, what do you get now? Just are you allowed to complain if you signed up for $10 million?
Why are you working out? You're like 80. Just call it a career.
It is fun. I mean, but so if Atlanta wins, they're 5-5. If Seattle wins, Tampa is 4-6. That's not terrible on one hand, because now just Atlanta jumps up in there, the NFC South leaders. But if Tampa wins and is 5-5, and Atlanta wins and is 5-5, Atlanta is just sitting right there behind the Niners, and they have the Niners head-to-head tiebreaker. Now, to your point, the good news would be that means Seattle loses, and the Niners aren't 2 games back of Seattle. But the point is, Atlanta is kind of hovering around the Niners. You could argue they should have beat the Chargers last week. We can talk more about that.
I think Atlanta looks pretty solid. Like to me, when I watch Atlanta, if you had to say, MIDDLEKAUFF, you got to put $1,000 on a record above or below 500, I think I would take 9-8. And I don't think it's inconceivable that I have to look at the rest of their schedule. I mean, they should win on Thursday. Would it be the craziest thing if I told you that bunch went 10-7?
No,
I mean,
John, they play Panthers. They play the Bears. Okay.
Bears are feisty right now.
Play Commanders, play the Steelers.
I mean, they got these are winnable games.
Saints,
winnable.
Ravens, Cardinals, Bucks.
Yeah, I mean, it's Niners losing that game. That one could sting as long as you don't take care of business.
If Atlanta wins this week, they've got at least, I think, probably 4 more wins in them.
And so what would they be if they win this week?
5-5.
So you're with me, though. It's not inconceivable that they could get to 10. Because they do. I mean, I might have been a little harsh on Drake London watching him. I know Khalil ripped the ball out of his hands. He's pretty good. And Kyle Pitts feels like he's really coming into his own. And that coach.
And their run game, I mean, the Algier guy, like they run hard.
That's what I'm saying. I do believe if Arthur had a skinnier face and you could promote him a little more like the LaFleur, McVay, Kyle, he would be getting more hype. Or maybe it's just Atlanta for
Tennessee,
a bigger market
was
team.
Tennessee, the quarterback he had in Tennessee.
True. I mean, I think he's pretty good. Like I watched their team, especially on offense, and go, he's fucking making shit happen. Thank God. And you could say the same thing, I guess, for the 49ers. Like, if you gave the 49ers or the Falcons, either one of them, let's just say Justin Herbert, it would be a problem. If I gave the Atlanta Falcons Justin Herbert, would you go lock playoff team?
Yeah. They'd have blown the Chargers out last week.
Would have killed them.
They still almost beat them.
Well, what would they have done to the Niners? I mean, they won 28-14.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't have been an upset. They just would have lost.
They would have lost. They just would be a problem. They feel like a quarterback and a couple guys on defense away from being. I mean, is that their division in a year? So I guess ultimately, I'm not trying to defend the loss. That loss has aged better. 2 games that I was wrong on at the time in terms of how it would age. Seattle win has aged pretty damn good, and the Atlanta loss has actually aged a little bit better over time.
But if you had beaten Atlanta,
I'm not justifying the loss. It was embarrassing at the time.
They'd be 3-6 right now.
What's their record right now?
4-5.
They feel better than 4-5, though, don't they?
They feel like you said, like a 9-8, 8-9 team.
I guess they lost to the Chargers. In my mind, I keep thinking they beat the Chargers, but they lost.
They lost. Yeah. So anyway, now there's a weird scenario where, like, if Atlanta loses, the Niners could lose. Football team plays Philly, so they lose. Even if the Rams beat the Cardinals, they still have the head-to-head tiebreaker, and so the Niners could actually lose and still, quote unquote, be in a playoff spot next week. But the point is,
I think football team. I mean, the Eagles aren't going 17-0.
I know they're 11, I think. Points.
Where's that game?
I want to say, I don't know. I thought it was in Philly. I can look here.
It's in Philly. Okay. So tough spot for Roll Heineke. Heineke had a pass. Did you see his pass to Curtis Samuel into triple coverage? One of the referees wiped out one of the safeties who was going to pick the ball off, just takes him out. The other 2 guys probably pick it off too. Curtis Samuel leaps up, makes the catch. I want to say it was Aikman. Whoever was calling the game was like, that was a horrible decision, but it was a 60-yard bomb. The referee destroyed one of the DBs. And the guy gets up like, what the fuck? The referee's, barely getting up. Yeah, I don't, the Commanders, man. But they're feisty. Chase Young's coming back.
So to your point on the Chargers, they're 5-3. New England's 5-4. Cincy's 5-4. Miami 6-3. The Jets, as you said, on a bye at 6-3. Tennessee at 5-3. But luckily for them, the South is MIA. So that's their division completely. But this game actually has more meat to it, Niners Chargers, than it does like the sizzle that I expected it to have,
Well, like Bills Vikings, the other game that you had listed on your tweet that I can't see, that game from Minnesota. Have you seen? I mean, every team in that division, besides Minnesota, has 1 loss. All the other teams have 6 or worse. Like they've unofficially won that division. Like that thing's over.
They're 5 games up. Is that good?
How and they've beat all the teams. Like
5 games up in baseball is a lot.
How are they? What are they like? Honestly, 2 wins away from a hat and T-shirt game. Like how? Who the fuck? How, that thing's a wrap. I don't think any of the other teams are going to get to 9 wins. So that game ultimately doesn't matter that much to Minnesota. There's just a lot of not political playoff implications on this Niner Charger game. Just big picture too. Like and this like part of acquiring Christian McCaffrey and getting healthy, all these guys back is like. I guess that I don't know if Lombardi or someone, I don't know how I would have seen this. Maybe someone forwarded to me that they ended practice yesterday by like 1, 2, 3, time to go on a run or something.
Who did?
Fred Warner, I think, when the team had like a light walkthrough practice after the bye. But I think they said that in the locker room after they kicked the Rams ass, which is true.
I saw that in the locker room.
Now's the time, like. When 4-4, so what you got 9 games, like what to you is the mark? 6-3 minimum over the next 10? Or is that doesn't add up? Or yeah, we got 9 games left. Excuse me, 6-3. That
Are
to
you
me is
asking me what would be good, or like what?
well,
Would
I'm
be
just saying, like, what is the minimum acceptable to be like? To me, it's probably 6-3 over
to
these
be
9
what
games.
in the playoffs, or
But just like the
Just feel
standard
good.
of moving forward of a
Yeah,
good,
yeah.
make a run.
Yeah.
And 7-2 shouldn't be out of the realm of possibility.